Hey everyone, welcome. You know what? We've been planning to do this for a long time. I'm with David Charlie Kulima, and but you know what? I'll let Dave Charlie Kulima give you introductions for himself. But he's a great guy based out of Mississauga, Canada. But Dave, just give you guys a quick introduction of who you are.
Well, see, all I've got to say is, first of all, I'm so glad that we're actually finally doing this. It's been in the works, I'd say, almost over a year now.
Yes.
And just you and I doing our, monthly chats, trying to get this anyways, just kind of give everybody my background. Dave Chali, I'm from Zambia via Philadelphia, you know, moved over here to Mississauga. Uh, Love Philadelphia, fell in love with Philadelphia sports. I did have an advantage. I was part of international schools around the world, and through that, I was introduced to not just Philadelphia sports, but just sports in general. So yeah, so there was this love for it, and being a part of the community in Philadelphia, really being part of that mainline crew. Well, we can go back, OC,
Yeah.
you and I met on that main line,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
and we took on the what I call the American way of Thanksgiving and just enjoying football and family getting together. We made our own families and we got together every Sunday.
Dave, and that's a very good way of introducing what it is we're trying to do. Just like you went to some excellent, well-rounded schools. St. Mary's School, Nairobi was just an unbelievable institution that introduced, or rather, not even introduced, it just made me blossom in terms of my sporting capabilities. That by the time we landed in Philly, we were, I mean, if you think about it, I was already playing for the national team. I was already playing for the Kenya national team, and we're just ready to go. Loved football, loved soccer. Then American football was new. We knew a little bit about it, but when you land into Philadelphia, like you said, it is a sporting city. I've never seen fans like fans in Philly. They're fanatic. They take they take sports to another whole new level. And then that's what actually got me into, what's this thing about football Sundays, you know? And here we are, right? Because years go by, and I know there's very many Africans in the diaspora who come, just fall in love with American football, and whichever city they go to, they fall in love with those teams, and they become the new ambassadors. If not, what many people in the States don't understand is that some of these fans are so deep into the game more than the local people are.
Absolutely. And I find it, that the relationship that we have as Africans, the relationship that we have with this game is the whole family community thing, because we all grew up going to church on Sunday. We know what that's like, going to church, then going home for a meal. And most of North America, that's what they do. They go to church on Sunday, then it's home to football.
Yeah.
And the families together. So it was those things. When you come as, many of us, we come as students or we come on work permits, whatever it is that we come by, right? We miss that community, and we find it on the weekend, on Sunday, football.
Yeah. If I was to ask you, Dave, what's your most memorable football moment that made you say, aha, this is the sport I will start loving as well, or this is the team I'll start supporting, but mainly this is the sport that I love?
Well, the sport, I'll never forget. And that game is on right now as we speak. Philadelphia's,
Steelers.
Eagles versus the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, I grew up with Terry Bradshaw and Lynn Swann. And watching Terry Bradshaw link up with Lynn Swann, you know, on tape delay, when I was in India, when I was in Japan, just watching that, was, just incredible. It was like, oh my gosh, Lynn Swan was like a ballet dancer, you know, receiving these passes from Terry Bradshaw. It was insane. You know, it was just, and it was so capsulating, especially when NFL, you know, and people don't understand NFL films. You know, if you watch highlights through NFL films and they play that fantastic music and then they slow it down and watch, you know, Lynn Swan going up to some sort of, you know, brass band playing music in the back. You know, you get a feeling, you know, that feeling of, oh my gosh, you know, and maybe I could do this, you know, and I fell in love with football then, and then, you know, then my second love with it became Buddy Ryan and Randall Cunningham. You know, I mean, they were Philadelphia's finest, you know, and that was the transition for me to go from watching football and then picking Philadelphia was easy, because in basketball, I watched Dr. J and Mo Cheeks and Bobby Jones. So I was already a Philadelphia 76ers fan from a kid. So
Nice.
I said, well, if I'm going to be a Sixers fan, then I'm going to be an Eagles fan. That's just the way it is, you know, and I've been an Eagles fan since.
You know, you touch on some interesting parts that I want to go back and let the people that are listening to us understand that the NFL production is a whole nother level of production.
Absolutely.
You know, that team has taken sports production, you know, when many people are here, this guy's almost knocking it out of the stratosphere, because it's hype. The hype, you know, especially if you're watching it in a sports bar. I remember it was a time I'd moved from Pennsylvania, I'd moved to Atlanta, and it was a good time when I was in Atlanta. I actually spent some time at CNN International, and Sundays, you know, the concept of going to one sports bar from 11 o'clock and watching all the games until midnight was unthinkable.
Yeah.
And a bunch of us used to meet and go to this sports bar, and you know, you've got your meals, they've got different screens, so you know, you watch your one game, that game ends, then you go to the next section,
Yeah.
and you're seeing all these fans wearing their jerseys. Of course, I come from Pennsylvania, so I'm seeing many Steeler fans, and I'm seeing my Eagle fans as well. And there's people from around the world, because Atlanta is almost like a mecca, right? It's almost like a meeting point.
Yeah,
People
you're
call
right,
it the
man.
mecca of
It's
of
Black
the
Mecca, man.
US, Black
I
Mecca.
call it Black Mecca, man.
Yeah, you know, and it's just a beautiful thing, and everyone's so passionate. And you know, I took a step back and said, if this one game is making people euphoric like this, some people are losing bets, some people are winning games, some people are playing fantasy football. You know, at that time I didn't even know what fantasy football was, but it was big, and all these things made me say, wow, these guys have figured it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They figured it out. And again, you and I have always talked about, you know, there's a voice that's missing, and this is why we're doing this. The Africa diaspora voice. You know, I don't think that we get a lot of the African diaspora voice into the mix of football, because, you know, every time we're traveling internationally, Dave, I know in the airports, or whether I'm leaving out of Pittsburgh, flying out of Atlanta or New York,
Yeah.
there's always a guy who's flying back to Africa with a football jersey, you know?
Yeah.
And you can see that pride of that guy and his city, and he's repping it. And I just say, I wish the cities knew how much these guys rep their cities and love their cities because of these teams.
You know, and it's one of those things where, you know, the NFL, you know, even through their national campaign, right? So now they got games up in England, they got games in Mexico. You know, they haven't really realized, you know, that there's a big diaspora community out here that supports and actually plays this game. I mean, you know, you look at Omanyora for the Giants. You know,
Oh,
right now
see,
I'm watching Pittsburgh. They got Okafor. You know,
Okafor.
right? You know, Eagles. You know, we had our guy. You know, he's now retired. You know, married to what's her name, the girl that solves everything for black people, man, on that show, Olivia Pope. Olivia Pope,
Oh,
right?
I know who you're
You
talking about.
Yeah,
The
you
guy
know
who
who I'm
ended up
talking
and
about, right?
he
You
and
know,
and
and
he ended up going back to he ended up going to the Raiders.
yeah, he was with the Raiders, came to us, and then went back to the Raiders one season, and from there he
Yes,
was done.
you know
Right?
a, a very sharp guy, a
Yeah, very
college
sharp.
grad who was very low key. He didn't spend his money foolishly.
Yeah,
Was all about the game. Didn't
yeah.
really live extravagantly. I know, man. You know what?
You know what I mean? So we've got we've got players, that are playing. It all started with I would say what's his name, the guy from Cincinnati Bengals, right? They're doing the Iki Shuffle.
Yeah,
That was our
yeah.
first guy. We were like, okay, there's one of us. You know what I mean? And now it's if you look at every single roster now, I'm pretty sure you'll find, especially in what I call the defensive back positions or in the on the defensive line, you'll find a guy with an African name, no problem, playing in the NFL. But yet, in terms of journalism, there's not too many of us, that are or even, media per se, that are talking and representing us. So I mean, like right now, ESPN has the two Nigerian girls, who play hoops.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Cindy and her sister, right?
Right, yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's fantastic. They're fantastic, but we need more representation, and to tell our story and tell it our way, not just tell it our way, because our way is definitely being a student athlete is not something that any one of our parents condoned.
Correct.
You're either a student or an athlete.
It didn't make sense. We're not sending you to go play sports.
Yeah, you know. So when you look at some of the hurdles now, and you see the names that are there now, and these most of them are pretty much second generation, right? Where the parents came,
Right,
they're born here, so now there's a little more of a assimilation and understanding from the parent because they've come to understand the system.
right. And this is the thing, though. I know I know my parents. It caught them late, understanding that their son was talented,
Yeah.
but they always, and I don't blame them, because it
No.
was always a reality, was for how long can you do this, right?
Yes.
Some of these sports are physical. You're one injury away from the end,
Yeah.
right? Whereas education allows you now to navigate the system better than
Yes.
you see, there's more than a sporting system. Yeah, in the West, there's the cultural system, there's the institutional system, there's a whole system. Mainly, if you are economically sound, then you have a better chance of navigating all these systems.
Absolutely.
And I think our folks are really focused on how can we get you economically sound so that now you can make your choices.
Yeah, and that was it, right? But again, also us not them not understanding and us not understanding that you know there's a market outside of the sport where you really make your money, which is endorsements, and yada, media appearances, here and there, right? So it's things like that, right? That have always been there. I mean, you go back, Mean Joe Green, you look at commercials, the only black people that we saw in commercials were athletes.
Oh yeah, and you know, I, I I like the way you mentioned that the commodity the the commodity is the athletes,
Yes.
and what we're trying to do is not just be the commodity. We also want to own the story, own the narrative, right, and be the custodians of
Yes.
this information and all of this narrative, and which is what we're starting to do here. We're like, you know what, let's just focus this on our own. We can't keep asking for permission. We need to authorize ourselves and start doing this for ourselves. We also see an opportunity of making that connection also, with the African Americans that play the sport.
Yeah.
because if they knew how much they are loved across this world, you know, especially also in Africa, and I just believe many of them don't know that.
Yeah, a lot of them don't. It's interesting, right? A lot of them don't. And I got to give credit to so-called some of the older generation in terms of Jim Brown and them, because they have traveled, they've seen, and they've come to understand that there's a love out there. We just are not exposed to it. The Black Americans are not exposed to it,
Mhm.
right? And then this new generation, they're finding out, because this thing Instagram, man, it's an animal, man.
I know.
It's an animal.
There's Instagram, then there's TikTok, whatever. I don't know
It's
those things, but I need to get to know them.
I'm poor. I am poor at all of those forums. I know nothing about them. I don't know how to, utilize them, monetize them.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and that's part of, our generational, see, and my daughter, is the one that's sort of navigating me through it, because she lives it, right? Everything she lives it.
Yeah.
But it is, so, I mean, like sometimes, I mean, I laugh, right? When you start watching, some of these clips you get sent, and here's a football player or a basketball player, talking to a girl in South Africa or something like that, on Instagram, and they've captured the video.
Yeah, it's done.
It's done. You know what I mean? So it's and the fact that when you see some of that, you're like, they're genuinely surprised that, oh my gosh, you know about me, you're in South Africa, where are you? You know what I mean? And then you watch those exchanges, you're like, wow, that is quite something.
Yeah. Look, I love the power of the digital media. Sometimes it's not used well, but as a people, I think it's our opportunity to cut away the middleman and do our thing. I think we have a chance to reach out to audiences and a new fan base. We do it weekly, we do it monthly,
Absolutely.
we do it daily.
See, this is one of the best things that has happened to us in this stage, is that now, how many times you and I used to sit down and say, hey, we want to do this, so how are we going to do it? How are we going to get there? Because the thing that's holding us back is access and permission.
Yeah.
We no longer need access and permission because the world is in front of us. Look at us right now.
Yeah.
We're doing this because we have access, and we didn't get permission from anybody except ourselves.
Yeah. We authorized ourselves, like, yeah, let's do it, man.
Right. And that's the beauty of it, and I think moving forward, just giving people the knowledge and sharing our love for this sport.
Yeah.
And how it fits in with us, I mean, like right now, the hardest thing has been always been, tailgating. We want to be able to tailgate, and we can't because of COVID, But I'll tell you one thing, man, people are tailgating at home, man. People are cooking up storms, man, doing this, I mean, over here today, as you know, it's Thanksgiving. I've been cooking all day, as you know.
Oh, yeah. It's the Canadian Thanksgiving, right?
Thanksgiving, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
If we have an audience out there that doesn't know about the Canadian Thanksgiving, give them a small spiel, 30-second spiel of what.
Yeah, it's and again, it goes back to the colonials and the harvest, with the local Indians, and this was the day that they broke bread without peace for everybody. There was no fighting, there was no what, just gave thanks for what they had. And it always happened around this time. So this is like the move from summer to fall, right? So we officially hit fall like 2 days ago, So that's been the trend, the tradition. And the Canadian Thanksgiving is different from U.S. Thanksgiving. It's not as, in terms of food, it's not as hyped. You know what I mean? America does everything on steroids.
America's hyped. Yeah, that's what we do.
Everything on steroids, man.
No, that's what we do, man. It's
You know,
America,
like
man.
boom, 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 boom. So even myself, right, the local Canadians, right, find me to be a bit too much, you
Who's
know,
this
because
guy's who's extra?
yeah, you know, because I'm in it, you know, as you know, man. You know, most people will do their food videos. You know, they give you ingredients, they put it up, and then done. You know, you see me, man. I take you through the journey. It's a full day, man. I start with this, send you a clip, I send you that, send you a clip, send you a clip, send you a clip. So it's a full day
I,
of the
I
process.
I tell you what, man, it's a beautiful thing. I like what we're starting here. Then, just in general, our plan is just to let people know. I think we have a chance to educate some of our non-football lovers out there who just want to get to understand the game better and feel like
Yeah,
they need to hear it from our perspective. That's what we'll be doing. We'll do it
yeah,
our way. We'll just talk about what we think, what games are the big games on Sunday, or maybe
yes,
some things that are taking place in the league. And it's a lot. There's a lot to cover from different angles. We don't have to do it like the way other guys do it.
absolutely. Like right now, I don't know if the football fans understood, but the game of the day for Fox is the Battle of Pennsylvania. It's Pittsburgh and the Eagles. You know, and it's the first time that Terry Bradshaw has ever interviewed Ben Roethlisberger. Can you imagine?
It's the
Two
first time.
Pittsburgh, yeah, first time
Wow.
ever.
But
They
these guys
sat
have
down on a one-on-one.
but these guys have access all day. How did it take them that long?
Yeah, you know. But it's that pride. You know, Terry Bradshaw is the best to ever play for.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
for Pittsburgh. Yeah.
You know,
Fantastic, Dave. I tell you what, let's leave it here. Let's look forward to next week. Let's look forward to sharing with the rest of the world our perspective on the games that are taking place. And we look so forward to doing this, David. Appreciate it,
so
man.
listen, man, I appreciate it, Doctor. And this is the real. You know, I'm so glad that you are in this media platform and you've been working it so long that you can guide some of us into this forum.
Yeah.
You know, that is key. We always need leaders so that others can follow and then become innovators, right? You don't
Yeah.
just become an innovator just like that. You need to see somebody, and
Yeah.
then copy them. That's how I
Fantastic. I like that. I like that. Ain't that the
right?
truth?
And that's the navigation. That's the navigation, and that's the space. So, my brother,
Yeah.
listen, man, Eagles are knocking on the door. It's 14-7. So let's get it going, man.
Pennsylvania, baby. Nice
All
talking to
right,
you,
man.
David. Cheers, man.
Indeed.
Salute.
Cheers.